What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada, here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you this morning?
Oh man, it's Friday. I'm excited for these games this weekend. Beautiful weather. I had to take a look at the schedule, see what I can get some hike and some outdoor time in.
Yeah.
Before these games. So some of these series really exciting, must see TV. Some of these series I've designated as hiking games. I don't mind if I miss them, and I'll catch them a little later. But we'll dive into all these series here real soon. How things been with you? We were talking before. It's been a pretty successful week for us here, betting these NBA playoffs.
Yeah, man, the NBA playoffs have been pretty good to us this week, so let's try to keep it going, man. Um, Everything's been pretty much going to script, pretty much the seesaw that we're used to if you've been betting NBA playoffs long enough. Some interesting news came down from the NFL today. I'm always talking about corporate betting, and people ask me, what's corporate betting? Well, corporate betting is all of these different organizations around the country who decide to become bookies and get in the sports betting business now that the laws have opened up and no longer is Nevada the only place that you can bet on sports. And it just got some news that came down that in the NFL they suspended five players. Um, Jameson Williams was the biggest name out the group, and he only got 6 months because supposedly he was betting from an NFL facility, but he was only betting on like other sports outside the NFL. He wasn't betting on the games he played. Whereas in Quintez Cephas and safety C.J. Moore for the Lions have been immediately let go and suspended indefinitely. They could seek reinstatement in a year. They all were caught betting on football games, man. And we've talked about this a lot about with people with this access to betting and how it's starting to taint the game. And Cephas already had a little dubious background around this time 5 years ago, like April 22nd, 2018. He got in a situation with two girls where they tried to accuse him of sexual assault. He ended up beating it, good for him. And he was reinstated in school, but it kind of ruined his career in football in college. And I didn't expect him to get to the professional league, but he ended up getting to the NFL, and now he's ruined it again, man, with betting sports. And with his track history, I doubt they let him back in. But it's just crazy, man. Then you also got Washington Commanders defensive end Shaka Tony, who was also suspended. The Lions were the big name though because they had multiple players, including Barry Hill and Williams, their receivers. So they had a total of four players that were involved in gambling, and one Commanders guy who's been suspended indefinitely. What do you think about this with these guys caught up in this sports bet, man, that are playing sports?
I'm not necessarily surprised. And if they're not betting NFL, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean,
Right.
I guess there's issues, right? Because you build up a 20 grand debt bet in baseball, and then they want you to fix the game, throwing it off. But boy, it seems like it's pretty hard to regulate. But like I said, not a lot of strong takes here. Just that I'm not surprised. What do you think?
They're gonna have to do something, man. It's gonna get worse and worse as we continue. It's tainted the market, and we got to find some middle ground. That's all I'm gonna say. It can't be the wild, wild west like it is right now, because guys like you and I, who are professionals who've been doing this a really long time, see the difference that the market is experiencing due to all of these new factors. All right, man. Let's jump to the past.
All right, let's break down these NBA playoffs. The first one on our docket we have to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies bouncing back without Ja Morant behind the strength of the play of Xavier Tillman. Wasn't necessarily expecting that had to happen. So now the series is 1-1. They're heading back to Los Angeles. Not sure when Morant's going to be back. I expect he'll be back this series, game 3. Not so sure. What did you see there on Wednesday night? And I know you're on the Lakers. What do you see from them going forward?
Lakers in a good position. You knew Memphis was going to come back and fight. They understand that their season was on the line, and they're really used to playing without Ja Morant. Now, can they win a series without Ja Morant is the question. That I don't think that they can do, but they have shown in the past that they can you know, be more than a decent team in the West without him. He missed a lot of games this year, and I think that they have one of the better backup point guards in the league. So they're okay. I expected them to fight back. Now it's up to the Lakers to come home and hold serve.
Yeah, hopefully they won't, but I'm a little worried that they will. Um, Another interesting game, right? We talked about, it's actually an NBA thing I like. Now, I actually like betting NBA regular season better. I think it's a little easier. I know people complain they don't play hard. I like to take advantage of that, right? Fade
Hmm.
teams in Atlanta, fade teams in Houston, right? I mean,
Right.
we know how to do this. Another theory that I really like is superstar subtraction. Those game true. And that's the idea that the first game that a star is out, the team will rally together. The players are excited to get more usage like they did in college and high school, shoot the ball again, be the man again. Now, it's not sustainable long term, but you do get like a quick bump. We saw that with the Grizzlies, and we also saw that with the Milwaukee Bucks. As Giannis was rolled out game day, the line it indicated they expected him to play. It quickly moved from about 8.5 to 6.5, but it did not matter. You could have bet it early, you could have bet it late. Didn't matter. Bucks won. Bucks covered 1-1. Heading back to Miami. I personally think that first game was a fluke. I think they'll at least split in Miami, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them win both. You know, I think they just kind of came out flat after having a week off. And of course, Miami shot 15 from 25 from behind the arc. So anytime a team shoots more than 50% from three, they're going to have a great chance to win. But relying on that as your game plan is going to be rough in the long term. So I still think this is the Bucks series to lose, and I'm expecting a Bucks Celtics final. Still, what are your thoughts?
I thought the Bucks did exactly what the Grizzlies did. They were down a superstar, but once again, much like the Grizzlies, the Bucks have played a lot of games without Giannis. Drew Holiday does what he does. He's one of those guys that always steps up when Giannis is out. If it's a big game, you can expect the best from Drew Holiday, and he's kind of put himself as one of those winning players. He's put himself on that mountain as one of those guys that you can trust during playoff time, and he really had a great performance. Just a deep team. We all know that the Bucks are maybe the deepest team in the NBA. They go about 9 to 10 deep on the bench, and all of those guys can shoot threes, and they all defend. They play with energy. Now, what's the word on Giannis? Is he going to be back this series?
Definitely this series. Game three,
Okay.
not sure. We all expected him in game two. So,
Okay.
that's why this gets tough here. Lower back contusion. We know that backs can be tricky, however. So, um, I don't know. That one's day to day, but I think he'll be back in the series. So, even if he misses game three, I would think that he'll come back for game four for them. And even if they split Miami, they'll have control of the series once again. So the Nuggets took on the Timberwolves again. The worst matchup possible for Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Gordon is just as tall, just as athletic, and can jump higher. So
Yeah.
Towns can't get anything done. We've all been calling for Anthony Edwards to take over. That's what happened as he dropped 41 in the loss. They still covered. Nuggets still covered. Um,
Yeah.
which was nice because I thought the Nuggets were going to run away with it. Credit to Anthony Edwards for keeping the game respectable and dropping that 41. But we've seen, right? We saw last night these teams get back home. They play a little better. Do you think that the T Wolves can land a punch here, or is this going to be a sweep for the Nuggets?
I don't think that the T Wolves get swept at all. I definitely think they get one at home, maybe two in the series. But the reason why is they really played them well this season. They just have to get their stuff together, man. They're having a little turmoil within that team. And another thing is Mike Conley isn't playing really well. So they need Mike Conley to play well in order for them to succeed against this team because he's kind of like the guy that they're giving uh, the shot to. They allowing him to have open threes and open looks, and he's not been able to cash in. So I think they a little bit. I think when they get home, momentum gets on their side. The fans will know what type of crowd they have in Minnesota. This is the anniversary of Prince passing today, so they'll be really excited. That's his arena. They play Purple Rain or when doves cry, one of Prince's hits when the game starts. So I expect a really good effort from Minnesota coming up.
All right. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. I haven't run my numbers for that one yet, but I'm not too keen to get involved in that game simply because I don't want to take the road team in those game threes, but I hate the way that the Timberwolves match up with the Nuggets because I feel like
Yeah,
it's just Edwards is their only option. And he
right,
went for 41 and they still lost by 9. It's hard
right.
to see the adjustments that they can make. The Nets, so you got plus 5.5 on here. It was around 4.5 when I left for work. I actually didn't watch that game last night. I only saw the 2 West Coast games. There's a lot of extracurricular going on, huh? What'd you see there?
Yeah, it was. It was a weird game. I was in and out on it. I have a real close friend in town, or a couple close friends that I grew up with in town. So we were kind of hanging out. We were watching the game, but when I'm watching the game with friends, we're kind of just like enjoying each other's company. I'm not locked in as I am when I'm at home, doing research. I did see the Harden play. I don't think it was worthy of getting thrown out the game. I don't think he intentionally like punched him in his junk or whatever. The Embiid play, he felt like the guy stood over him and he reacted, and you and I know you go back to some of the 80s and 70s NBA games, it was some real ruckus, like you watch the old NBA history and all those things. Like I love to watch flashback and throwbacks, especially when I was younger and had a lot of downtime at home, not, driving around a lot, not having a car, being a kid. I used to watch all of the old games and the history of the NBA, and they used to do a lot worse things than what they're really trying to pump now is, oh, I can't believe he did this. Like these are grown men. We know how the basketball courts work in real life. It's one of those places where it's kind of eat or be eaten, and it's fights all the time on the basketball court in the park. So I don't think it was a big deal.
All right. Let's move on. I think that series is over. So, hey, a hiking series, right, for that game 4. Even if the Nets win,
Yeah,
like whoop de do, they're going to get smoked in game
yeah,
5. Whoop de do. I don't even care
exactly.
about getting involved. Good for the Sixers.
Oh,
The
one
Kings.
thing, one thing about that series that's hilarious to me, real quick, is the fact that Spencer Dinwiddie put the spotlight on himself, and he's played like a bum. Like with all that talk he was doing about Rick Fox and slandering Rick Fox, and he's played like a complete bum. He has to be one of the worst passing guards in the NBA. That's all I want to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. My Kings had a rough performance last night. This is where it's hard, right? A lot of my friends just jumped in the NBA, right? Oh, Kings are in the playoffs, right? They're paying attention. They see the first
Right,
2 games. Oh, we got to bet Kings +6. We got to bet Kings money line. I go,
right,
I'm on Golden State here in game 3, right? No,
right,
no, no. Did you watch the first 2 games? I'm like,
right.
okay. Warriors were what, 34-7 at home this year.
Yeah,
If you watch the whole regular season, right? A tale of 2
yeah,
teams. This isn't even the same team on the road, and we saw that last night as they go, oh well, no Draymond Green. Oh, the Kings' defense seemed to be better. I thought the Warriors looked pretty good without Draymond. And if
yeah,
I'm Bob Myers, or I don't know if he's leaving too, right? But if I'm this Warriors front office and he wants to leave, I'm fine running Moses Moody and Kuminga out there. Wait, you mean I can actually have 5 players on offense that the defense needs to respect? Now I understand you're losing toughness, tenacity, and rebounding. But at the same time, it feels like the antics have increased and the production's decreased, right? Do we want to put a Bill Walsh here? Do you want to get out of here maybe a year early, right? Rather than a year too late of having
yeah,
Draymond and another huge contract. So obviously he's going to be important if they're going to win this year. But I think the Warriors showed that, hey, Draymond, we don't need you out here. And I don't think it's necessarily over for the Kings either. But the idea that they were going to sweep the Warriors or this was going to be an easy series is ludicrous to me. So I thought the Warriors looked great. I wasn't surprised. A lot of my friends were shocked. But, like I said, 34-7, second best home record in the NBA this year. Not surprised they got the easy win and cover.
Yeah, I had a satisfying day. I had the Warriors first half, and I had the Warriors for the game, and I had the Mets first five and the Mets for the game. So they all were layups. Um, it's just a tale of two teams. Both of these teams went there at home and went on the road. It's amazing to me. And the others, as Shaq always talks about, they disappeared for the Kings. Monk, Mitchell, those guys were nowhere to be found. Lyles, all those guys that were balling out in sack. I mean, Monk had what 5 points, 4 points, or something like that. So, he was putting up 30, back at Arco. So or excuse me, Golden. What's the name of you guys' stadium now?
Golden One Center.
Golden One Center, baby. Like the
Yeah, credit
bean.
union,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
Credit union.
Yeah, man. I was Arco was the good days. I remember Arco. So yeah, the Warriors and they got their others to play, man. Their others really did their thing. Poole, he scored 16, but he's still not playing good ball, man. Poole is one of those guys. I don't know if they should have paid him.
He's
He's just
hurt.
one of them
He's
dudes.
hurt. They get mad at me because I defend him on the other show. He running
Uh,
around on there on a bum ankle. He's not himself, and you can see it.
okay.
So all I would say is I'm not expecting a lot from him this playoff run, but I'd be hesitant to write him out as a big time player overall because he's out there gutting it out on a bad wheel, and I could tell it's affecting him and certain guys, right? Doesn't seem to matter, right? Like Sabonis, do you guys even notice he's playing through a broken hand? Like he's gonna have surgery. The season's
No.
over. You don't even notice. I
Right.
remember he broke his hand. One other player had the same injury and he had been out for like 3 weeks. I said, "Oh, season's done." He missed one game. So some guys play
Yeah,
through
he's
pain really
tough.
well. I think it's really bothering Poole. So I'm not ready
Okay.
to write him off, is my point. But don't expect a lot from him these playoffs because you know how these ankles are. If you keep playing on them, it's never going to get better. I mean, I don't even know what to say about this. My one thing is Kawhi Leonard is going to be our generation's Bill Walton. And for the kids who don't know, Bill Walton could have been one of the greatest players of all time. We could have had him in our top 10 lists. That's how good he was. People don't want to believe it because he's funny now on Pac-10 broadcasts, right? I think he does like acid before he goes on the air and stuff. But, he was on route to be one of the greatest players of all time right after that career at UCLA. And of course, it's a little bit before our time, but everyone talked about how good he was. Injuries derailed his career, but yet he was still able to get a championship before all this happened. I feel like Kawhi Leonard is the same way. Great player, got his championship, but we're never really going to see what's going to happen. And for him to miss that game last night, you knew it was pretty bad. And I don't know, is the season over? If he's not 100%, I just don't see how Clippers got 41 from Norm Powell last night and couldn't get it done. I don't really know what they're going to expect.
They ticked me off last night because I had the Suns first half -4, and they were up 8 with a minute left and still allowed um, the Clippers to cover the first half. I should have just bet the game because, as we know, it's always
Didn't
addition
cover
by
the game
subtraction.
either because I was on the Clippers.
Oh, they didn't.
It was plus
Okay.
7. And well, it depends.
Okay.
If you bet it before the news came out, it was
Yeah,
minus
it
three
was
and a half.
eight and a
In
half.
middle, the
Yeah.
books got screwed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was up to 7, 7.5, 8. I said, it's good. People are gonna keep betting the Suns. I'm taking all these points.
Okay.
The superstar subtraction.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't even
I
cover
just
the
got
Clippers.
in on the first
Final
half.
margin was 5. So the books got middled. If you bet the Suns before the news, you won. If you bet the Clippers after the news, you won. Rough night for the bookmakers.
By the time that game came on, I was up in MGM, and I probably had taken about 6 shots of Casamigos and Nejo. So
Nice.
yeah, so I don't remember too much about that
I
game.
went 2 units on that Clippers. I felt really strong about them keeping it close there.
Okay.
I had all eyes on that one.
Nice.
I was fortunate to get the cover. I'll say that much. I came right down to the end.
All right, man. Let's get to the present. We got one of the biggest fights in Vegas in a long time. Actually, the first big fight in the T-Mobile Center, and we had to bring in, the icon, the OG, the entrepreneur, a man of many titles, man. He's also working on a great film right now called Born to Box. The one and only Curtis Scoon. Welcome to the wagering world.
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
What's up,
Long
Curtis?
What's
time.
up? What's
How
up?
are
Hey,
you
What's
hey,
up?
doing?
hey. Hey, we got a lot to
Good
talk
to see
about
you,
today.
man.
Yeah, good to see you
Yes,
guys too.
yes, we definitely do, man. This is a huge fight. This is the one that people have been waiting on for a while. We got Javante Davis, he's 28-0, 26 KOs, and then we got Ryan Garcia, he's 23-0 with 19 KOs. As I said, this is the first time that we've had a big fight at the T-Mobile, so we got that going, and people are saying that Garcia is just an IG phenomenon. Big Scoon, they're saying he's not a real fighter. What do you think about that?
He's not that bad, but he's not that good either. I find it interesting. This fight is really it's good for the business. I think not so much the sport itself, but it's good for the business of boxing. And I have a theory. I think this fight is going to end up happening twice. And
Really?
yeah, I think so. Um, I think there's going to be a premature stoppage. It's going to be
Mm,
reminiscent of Tyson Ruddock. Remember when
okay.
Tyson and Ruddock fought? Ruddock was kind of like a Ryan Garcia type. Instead of the hook, he had what they called the smash. It was a cross between an uppercut and a hook, but it was the left, and that was his big punch. And he caught Tyson with it, but Tyson got on him, and Richard Steele stopped the fight. And there was a big outcry about it. And the second fight between those two at the time was the second highest grossing fight in boxing history. And there was no title on the line, same as Garcia and Tank. And I'm looking for this to be somewhat of a repeat. It could be a bit of a stretch, but in any event, I think this fight is going to end earlier than everyone suggests. Most of the experts are saying the later rounds, 7 and above. I don't see it going past 5, maybe 6. I don't know. My gut tell me 5, and I think
Okay.
Joe Goosen is gonna intervene. I don't think the fans who don't like Ryan are gonna get to see him knocked out cold. I don't think they're gonna let that happen to him.
So pretty much you're saying on the betting angle, because everyone's asking me about the betting angle. So Javante Davis to win by KO or technical knockout or disqualification minus 140 is pretty much what you're saying. And you're also saying this what I was looking at, and I'm glad that you brought it up about the rounds. It's heavy juice on over 7.5 rounds. If the fight goes over 7.5 rounds, it's minus 170, which means every $170 that you wager wins
You get
$100.
one.
Under 7.5 is at plus 140. And I was looking at that under 7.5. So you're saying you think it goes under 7.5 rounds?
I, I think so. Now, don't get me wrong. Like a lot of the trainers and what have you, they have to be politically correct, even though they're experts and they really know the sport. I don't think they have the latitude to tell you what they really think because they want to do business with other people, other networks, and they don't want to piss anybody off. So you hear this whenever you hear them say it's a 50-50 fight, it means they don't want to offend anybody because very
Right.
seldom is the fight really a 50-50 fight. I would say that this is a 70-30 fight, right? In Tank's favor. There's a couple factors here that we have to take into consideration. Ryan has never fought an undefeated fighter or a fighter the caliber of Tank Davis. Tank, on the other hand, I think this is his sixth undefeated fighter. And he's beaten, I can't remember how many champion title holders, quite a few. He's been in these fights, he's fought a completely better caliber of opposition. And also, Tank, as we all know, he takes shots. He does. I think he does so intentionally because of his size disadvantage. He sometimes is willing to take shots to get in and get his off. Right. So we know he has a chin, but nobody knows what Ryan's chin is like. If we go by his fight with Luke Campbell, it doesn't look like his chin is very good.
Right.
So now in the battle of the chins, I think Tank got that beat. But we also don't know if Tank has ever been hit by someone who hits like Ryan. And I'm not a big fan of Ryan as a fighter. I think he's a nice, entertaining kid, but he does hit hard. You know what I mean? And you could always
Yeah.
tell when somebody hit hard because it's going to be just one shot. And and,
Right.
and when you see sometimes like you seen with Fortuna when Ryan fought him, that delayed reaction, or even with Luke Campbell, when you see delayed reactions on them punches, that means them things hurt. It took a little while for the brain to even to register.
Right.
So
Right.
I believe Ryan hits hard, man. He may
Right.
even hit even harder than Tank. The edge that Tank has though is that his great footwork puts him in position to hit you when you don't expect it. See, more so than his power, he doesn't get enough credit for his skills. He knows how to box, man. The boy's only
Yeah.
5'5.5" with a 68-inch arm reach. He's a very small fight. That's why I don't think his career is going to be as long as Floyd's, or I really don't want to see him at 140 ever again.
Right.
135 is the ceiling for him, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
his footwork and just the way he positions himself, he catches people when they least expect it, man. We saw that with Rolly Romero. Rolly was
Yeah.
actually bigger, stronger than Tank, like most of his opponents are. But man, he caught him with something he didn't see coming. Rolly needed help from the ring. His father had to carry him to the locker room. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
look, it means a lot when you don't see the punch coming, man. And we know he got a
Yeah.
chin. I don't know if he can take Ryan's shot. And Ryan does have an advantage because that left hook is usually, kryptonite to southpaw fighters.
Yeah.
When you got a really good quick left hook. So Ryan has a chance. I wouldn't count him out all the way. But my money would be on Tank and would be on it to go early for sure.
Yeah, Tank has minus 240 is actually in boxing. That's a really good number. I don't mind paying 240 to win 100 when it's a fight because I think that Tank has an extreme advantage on the kid too. As you said, Tank's a technician, and I ran into Ryan Garcia as like his fitness trainer last night. Not his trainer for boxing, the guy who works out like strength and conditioning guy.
Mhm.
And me and my buddies were walking through MGM. We were on the way to a restaurant, and he heard us speaking about the fight, and hey guys, I'm Garcia's trainer and da da da. And he has a big left hand. He's gonna knock him out with the left hand. And we were listening, kind of listening to his spiel, and then he told us that he also trained John Ross spread. And when he said that, I said, "Oh, this guy's gonna lose." John Ross was in the league like 1 year. He was drafted in the top 20 and didn't last for one season in the NFL. So off of me his trader alone, I think that I'm going to ride with you with Tank on that one, OG.
Yeah.
What you got for him, spread?
Boxing and NBA are similar, where being born with physical advantages can get you pretty far. You can't teach hand speed, and just like NBA players with that quick burst of quickness or the ability to leap, there's nothing you can do no matter how hard you work. I feel like hand speed's that way in boxing. Garcia, I've been impressed by his hand speed, right? You can tell that he's been blessed with that, and he's been able to use the hand speed to rise to the top. Davis is pretty quick himself. Who do you think is going to be quicker to the punch, and who do you think is going to be initiating the exchanges when these guys take the ring?
Based on watching both hit the mitts and bag and stuff, it obviously looks like Ryan is the faster fighter, right? I give him that. But here's the thing, though. Hitting an inanimate object is very different from hitting a fighter who will hit you back and a dangerous fighter who will hit you back. To be that fast as we see Ryan hitting the mitts require a degree of commitment. And will his heart allow him to commit to be that quick with Tank? Because I want to believe he's going to be thinking about getting out of range before he even lands the punch, and that's going to take something off of his punches. It all depends, man. We won't really know. Like I would not tell anybody I'm 100% sure Tank is going to win this fight. Like I said, 70-30. But that's why they have things called upsets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I believe that it's gonna come down to Ryan's heart versus Tank's chin. If Tank can take that shot, Ryan is in big trouble. Because look, because I know Ryan can't take Tank shot. Luke Campbell is not even a hard puncher, and he messed up so bad psychologically. That's the other thing, the mental fortitude. These are the things that you can't see in the gym, right? After that fight with Luke Campbell, that was the first time Ryan ever got put down. To his credit, he got up and won the fight. But something else happened. He got gun shy after that fight. He started doing weird things, announcing fights with Pacquiao and this one and that one. He wasn't he wasn't acting right. It messed up his
Right.
head. You know what I mean? Like, and then you got to watch somebody like Tank. Tank got 26 out of 28 fights knockouts. It would have been 27, but he broke his hand fighting Isaac Cruz. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, we talking about a 94% knockout ratio, bro. If you let Luke Campbell put you on the canvas and it rattled you like that you didn't know whether you wanted to be an influencer online or an actor or something. Imagine what you're thinking in your mind when you get in the ring and you look at Gervonta. Gervonta, man, he's not the most articulate person. And kudos to Ryan. He is helping to sell this fight. However much money this fight makes, Ryan plays a big part in that, And but Tank is not the most articulate person outside of the ring. I don't think he's stupid at all. I think he's just rough around the edges dude from the inner city, man. And
From
he's like, man,
Baltimore, man. Baltimore.
he's like, man, let's just get to the fight. That's his attitude.
Yeah.
He's not trying to be
Yeah.
charismatic. He doesn't care about any of that shit. He's like, man, see
Right.
me on fight day. Let's get it on, And you need
Yeah.
these kind of brooding types. And he's the antithesis of a Ryan Garcia. He's like, the other day, yesterday, I was joking that I heard he was going to reboot Menudo. He looks like he belongs in a boy band. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's like good versus bad.
Yeah.
Ryan had used the analysis of him being Muhammad Ali and Tank being Sonny Liston. I could go for that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll see if it turns out like that. We will.
And they did some excellent job of promoting this fight because, as you said, you got the knight in shining armor with Ryan Garcia, and it also last night was the Latin Grammys here, so he's gonna have a lot of supporters in town, that's gonna be backing him. I'm sure they're trying to lift him up to the scale of Canelo, and he can reach that if he can get this done. But it's gonna be tough. I just don't see Gervonta losing to him, man. I think Gervonta, as you said,
Me neither.
yeah.
And
I
I
just
want to
don't see
say,
him.
I want to say this, Ryan, right? He's actually Mexican American. A lot of Mexican Americans like to claim that they're Mexican, which they are through their lineage, but they're not received the same by the fans in Mexico. Even Isaac Cruz came out and said Ryan's not a real Mexican. And it doesn't help that Ryan admitted he doesn't speak any Spanish at all. So no,
De La Hoya had that same issue, didn't he?
Yep.
I remember that was a big build for the Fernando Vargas fight.
Yep.
Right? Was it De La Hoya was the pretty boy that grew up not in the Latin neighborhoods, and that Fernando Vargas was the real one representing Mexican culture. So this isn't new.
No, it's not.
And speaking, I wanted to use that De La Hoya comparison for a reason, right? They're looking for another De La Hoya, right? They see they have money here with a marketable, good-looking kid. If I have money on Davis, should I be worried about shenanigans if this does go the distance?
Well,
right? I mean,
yeah.
Michael Montero, who writes for Ring Magazine, Ring Magazine is owned by Oscar De La Hoya, in case people don't know. He came out and said that he thinks the fight is going to be fixed. He claimed that Floyd has the Nevada commissioner in his hip pocket. He named the wrong commissioner. It was someone who retired last year. And I think that these guys, they know that Ryan's going to lose. I think they're cashing out on Ryan. Because of Ryan's quirky behavior, De La Hoya figures he might as well get what he can for him now. Because De La Hoya only has like Jaime Munguia, Virgil Ortiz Jr., and Ryan, right? So he's put all his investment behind Mexican fighters. Munguia, he's been just beating up like cab drivers from Tijuana. He's undefeated, but he's not going to do shit because they won't raise his level of competition. Ortiz is a legit fighter, but he's having these issues that some are saying is coming from either overtraining or PED usage, because he just pulled out of a fight with staniosis, and he had to pull out of a fight before because he's having the same ailment, same sickness. Yeah, so his defenders are saying that he's overtraining. He would only be overtraining if he's trying to cut too much weight, and this happens a lot in boxing too. Or he's cycling on the steroids, and I'm not making those allegations against him because I legit think Virgil is a solid fighter. But I say that to say that's the only real solid fighter De La Hoya has. So he needs an influx of money. Just talking about on social media that he got people that want to buy Golden Boy for $1 billion is not fooling anybody. You know what I mean? And so they're scared, but I think they wouldn't have put Ryan in the ring if they didn't have to. They just want to get that money. The best thing that could happen to them, by the way, is if there's a controversial stoppage outcome and they get to do it again twice, because then everybody's going to get a lot of money. Even though Gervonta is the fighter, there's no denying that he doesn't have a dance partner at the box office like Ryan Garcia, you know?
Right.
And we'll see just how that goes.
I expect Davis to win as well. Let's say there's no shenanigans. Davis gets the clear-cut knockout. Where does Ryan Garcia go from here? Does he still have a future, or is this going to severely hurt his marketability?
I don't think it will hurt his marketability, but I think it will hurt his desire to fight. He's probably going to go to TikTok. That's all, you know.
Yeah, they can make the same amount of money without taking abuse now. These kids are, hey, we came from the dinosaur era where we was out here having, get our knuckles bruised and, bump our heads, man. Nowadays, they just turn on a laptop and give all that data to China and next thing you know, they're rich,
Yeah, for sure. I really don't think Ryan, his heart is in boxing. That's something else that's going against him in my book, too. If his heart was in it, he might stand a better chance. But I don't think when he has to dig deep, he's going to go there. I just don't see it.
As you know, Gervonta Davis he's coming from a different place when he's stepping in the ring. He's coming from, Baltimore, and he's coming with not wanting to go back to Baltimore ever and be in those conditions and environment. What else you got going on, Scoon? How's everything going with the documentary?
Oh, it's coming along, man. We've had over 35 interviews. I'm working on getting Don King, but we're in post-production. And actually, we've been working on this thing for like 2 years now, right? And that's the beauty of being an independent filmmaker, because I really don't have anybody looking over my shoulder talking about when you're going to be finished, right? So we're taking our time, and Asia told me the other day that she should have the first string out done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's important because that'll be something we could show people. I have a lot of big dogs that's interested, and I want to show them something, because now I don't want to pitch it as a documentary. I want to pitch it as a docuseries, because I have so much content. I mean, man, the stuff that I got, and we're going to cover everything. It's insane. It's the history of boxing. I mean, I got people. I got Larry Holmes, Ray Mercer, Michael Spinks, Chop Chop Corley, Sam Watson. That's Al Heyman's man. You know, I got Carl King, Don King's son. I got Victor Conti from Snack and Buddy McGirt. I mean, it's just so many champions. Hassim Rahman, and on and on and on and on. And the story we're going to tell, it's going to have it's going to be a continuous story, but from all those different perspectives. Richard Steele, he's in the joint. I mean, it's Sammy the Bull Gravano. Like everybody's in there. Like I interviewed all of these people face to face, and you'd be surprised what they have to say. You know, when you read the boxing pundits nowadays, everybody will tell you that Don King is a crook, right? And I'm not going to defend Don King, but I asked people who worked with him, and not one was willing to say that he was a crook. In fact, they all said the opposite, that they thought he was good for boxing and that he paid fighters more money than anybody. And like Sammy the Bull said, he said, listen, if you pay me 10 million and you take back one, please go ahead and rob me. Like, yo,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's
Yeah, look,
right. That's
yo,
right.
look,
That's right.
yo, man, it was so fascinating. Look, Bob Lee from the IBF, who co-founded the IBF, 89 years old. I interviewed him. He and his son. He actually went to jail over a fight with George Foreman and Axel Schultz. And Bob Arum volunteered to testify against him, sent the man to
Wow.
prison. And what? Look, bro, I listen. I got it all, and these are people who they were very important in the sport in its heyday, because you know boxing has always been kind of like a great sport, but monetarily, the money wasn't as consistent until cable TV got into boxing. And the reason why I got into boxing is because of Don King.
And
He
Mike Tyson.
started,
Yep.
he actually, his first fight that he took to HBO was Larry Holmes and Mike Weaver, because
Hmm.
ABC didn't think it was going to be a good fight. He had deals with ABC at the time. He's actually instrumental in HBO getting started and expanding because of the boxing he brought with them in 1979, right? And
Yeah.
then he replicated that process with Showtime when he took his fighters from HBO to Showtime. They're so busy telling you about what fighters didn't get paid, they're not telling you what a great impact he had on the sport being what it is today and being lucrative in the way that it is. It was Don King who took Mexican fighters, first Salvador Sanchez and then Julio Cesar Chavez, and made Mexican fighters a thing. Nobody prior to 1980 who was talking about Mexican fighters. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? Don King made Mexican fight fans, made them have something to be proud of. And then also women boxing, Christy Martin. I mean, there was women boxing before King, but he put them on his main event cards and put it on the
Right.
undercard. So when you see Clarissa Shields today and the others, they have Don King to thank for that. Nobody never
Yeah.
respected what they did. You understand? But you won't hear these things because
Right.
it's just part for the course, man. We're not
Yeah.
supposed to be smart and we're not supposed to be innovative. So we
No.
can't be cast in that light. The minute we fuck up, though, it'll be all over the TV.
It'll
There
be
they
all over
go.
the TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there they
Yeah.
go. You understand what I'm saying? They up to their
Yeah.
old
Well, he
tricks
dealt.
again.
You know what he dealt with? He dealt with innate bias, and that's the problem that we deal with the media coverage. And we also got the Willie Lynch stuff that's going on. We're still dealing with today with divide and conquer, and not only that, with the crab in the bucket mentality. A lot of guys they have no problem on a $10 million check paying their white lawyer $4 million, but they have a problem giving 1 million to the brother who gave them a chance and gave them money when they didn't have any money and put them in position to get to the white lawyer. So that's that's what we're gonna be dealing with forever when it comes to businesses. You and I can understand, Mr. King, because we're businessmen. But unless you've been a businessman, which a lot of us haven't, you can't understand or step in those shoes. You always look at yourself as the guy who's fighting your own. You know what I mean? And it's set up that
And,
way,
and,
unfortunately.
let, and let me add this to that, right? To be clear, I don't think it's the fans. I think it's the people who control the sport, who
The
compete
media.
the well, and the promoters who control the media, right? They're
Yeah.
competing for market share, and they will use any ploy to maintain that income that they have. You see, because there's this story that goes around that uh, they focus on Latino fighters because Latino fans, so and so and so and so. So who the hell was buying all these fights before this influx of Latino fans? The reality in all of this is that most of the money always came from the mainstream, from white America, right? And white America has never had a problem paying for black entertainment.
Right.
Somehow, someone started shifting that narrative to create a problem where there was never one. Black talent has never relied on black fans. So when you say, yeah,
No.
black people don't buy fights, when did that ever matter? You look at any sporting event, the players on the field are usually 50 to 85% black. And then you look in the stands and what you won't see 85% black in the stands. Nobody white
No.
has a problem paying to be entertained by black people. So this is a narrative that's shaped by the likes of Bob Arum and others to justify boxing out the competition. And that's how I see
Right.
it.
One of the oldest wars that's been going on. I remember watching the Don King biography, and he was in jail in the late 50s, sweeping, and saw Bob Arum on TV and said he was going to, challenge him and be promote himself. And both of those men are amazingly still here, man, after all this time.
Listen, Bob Arum was a federal prosecutor who used
Really?
to investigate boxers.
Okay.
And once he understood how much money was being made, he quit. He left. He left, and he came to the other side. And
Wow.
it just is what it is. But that's the truth. I got all of that, man, from Carl King and the stuff that I got. I said, yeah, I can't do one film because I would leave out
Yeah.
so much good shit, man. Like, yo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to pitch a series, and I want it to be like a for 30 for boxing though,
Right.
and
Right.
I don't have anything against anyone, but I want to make sure, obviously being a black man, I want to make sure that any black contributor who has been overlooked or who hasn't had a chance, a platform to speak, get one. I mean, Larry Holmes is a great champ, man, but nobody
Yeah.
will call him to put him in their documentary. Same for Ray Mercer. I hope these guys, man, you know, they talk about Inoue and Bam Bam Rodriguez. Those guys are decent fighters, man, but they can't hold a candle up to what they don't have the competition, they don't have the exposure, and it's not just them. It's all of the fighters nowadays. We used to have fights on regular TV, then cable TV. It used to be Tuesday night fights, Friday night fights every week. ABC would have fights on Saturdays, Wide World of Sports. And this is while the
Yeah.
fighters are sharpening their skills, but also while the public was getting to know these fighters. Now
Yeah.
they rely on pound for pound lists and a whole bunch of hacks like Tim Bradley and Andre Ward spouting whatever to promote a fighter, and they rely on things like that. They rely on just poor journalism, and it's not
Yeah.
working, and it's not working.
Man, we really appreciate you coming on, always blessing us with so much knowledge and so much wisdom, Scoon. And man, that Born to Box is going to be awesome. It seems like it's going to do things for boxing and the boxing world that has yet to be done and really show the true history of the sport. Anything for Scoon before he gets out of here, spread?
No, great breakdown today, and I can't wait to watch this fight this weekend.
Same here.
Definitely,
You
man.
Yeah.
know, I want everybody who's watching to visit the website borntoboxfilm.com. It has a list of the cast. It has a nice intro. The beginning of the film is 10 minutes, but it's just fascinating stuff, man. Check it out and support me. ScoonTV.com.
Y'all, everybody, please subscribe to ScoonTV.com. This is my mentor. This is a good man, and I really appreciate him and everything that he does for us here, man, at the Wagering World. We'll talk to you soon, Scoon. Hey, we're
All
taking
right.
Javante Davis with you, buddy. All right, brother.
All
Yep.
right, my man. All right.
All right, later. All
Later.
right, man. Thank you so much for coming on, Scoon. Let's go on and get to this NBA for tonight. Spread, who we got up first?
All right, the Celtics are -5 in Atlanta, taking on the Hawks. Atlanta has shown life at certain points during the series, but the Celtics are so much better. I mean, you're looking at Quinn Snyder. He could be Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley. Name your favorite coach.
Yeah, it
You're
wouldn't
not going to
help.
be able to overcome that type of talent advantage. But they're back at home. Atlanta is a tough place to play. And after those first two games, it'd be a little easy to see Boston overlooking this team. They've made the line, in my mind, perfect. Because if it's +6, I mean, Atlanta's an auto bet. At
Yeah.
+5, I don't know. I don't love it. To me, it's Atlanta or pass. Right now, I'm going to pass. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be on the Hawks tonight. Just for talking to Ski about that. Me and Ski both want to be on Trey Young tonight. We on ice Trey, man. So I just think the Hawks come back, and I think that they play well enough tonight. That the Celtics are feeling themselves a little bit after two pretty easy victories, and they roll into Atlanta, and it's easy to get caught up in the ATL, man. Your eyes get to wandering at the girls and the good
Especially you're
times
up
and the
2-0,
fun.
right?
Yeah, so
If you
it's
locked
a
in,
Friday
right,
night.
1-1, you need the win. It's
Right.
been a gritty series.
Yeah.
When you've been out
Yeah.
there just running up and down the court, getting buckets, not a lot of resistance.
Yeah, I'm
Have
sure
a
that a
little
couple of those
fun.
guys hit the strip club last night, so we're gonna go
Yeah.
with the Hawks, man. I think the Hawks get it done. At least with the cover, they might win straight up.
The game of the night is the Cleveland Cavaliers in Madison Square Garden taking on the New York
Yes.
Knicks. The Knicks came out, landed that punch, right? We just talked boxing, right? Landed the first punch, right? Hit that
Yep.
left jab, right? And the
Yep.
Cavaliers countered with the right cross. They landed even harder punch, right? Because the Knicks won the hard fought game. The Cavaliers won an easy victory in game two, but everything switches. We saw that last night. Everything
Yep.
switches now. We know how wild Madison Square Garden is going to be. We know that Donovan Mitchell does love performing in Madison Square Garden. This is an interesting game for me. I think the Cavaliers are quite better than the New York Knicks, but the home court advantage to me also kind of throws things out. The Cavaliers just need a split here. They don't need to win both. It's not, I lean the Knicks, but I don't love the play. My numbers are telling me to take the over, and I don't think I'm going to. To me, it's under or pass. What are your thoughts?
Until last game, the Knicks had won the last four matchups against the Cavs, so they match up as we had talked about really well against Cleveland. But end of the season, uh, the Cavs came in there and they ran them, and the Knicks were a different team at the time. But one thing that's been constant throughout Mitchell's career is showing up in New York. He's a New York kid. His father's connected. His dad works for the Mets, so Mitchell isn't one of those guys that came up from the hood. He he came up with people opening the doors for him at Park Avenue, and he loves New York, man, and he really plays well when he touches that city. And I think that the bet on this game for me would be Donovan Mitchell going over on the points. He has really good performances in New York usually. As far as on the side, the numbers saying to take the Cleveland Cavs. It seems like they're baiting you to take the Knicks with that short number at home. Very short number for a team who's had as much, success in the past matchups as New York has over Cleveland. So maybe they think that bigger staff and the Cavs have found something from last game. But that line is saying Cavs, man. So I'll probably just be playing Mitchell to go over on the points.
That's funny. The one bet I made in this game so far is his counterpart. You know my
Who?
guy, Jalen
Oh, okay.
Brunson.
Jalen
I took
Brunson. Yeah,
his
he didn't play
over.
too well last game. Yeah,
Now I know that makes it even better, right? Because if he would have
exactly.
dropped
Yeah,
35, this number would be at 26 or 27. He only had
yeah,
20 in the last
exactly.
game. He had 27 in the game one win. I love Brunson tonight. To me, he's the heart and soul of this team, and I think he's going to show he's the best player on the floor tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if both of those props cash though, and we get a good old fashioned duel.
Yeah, because
The way
Garland
that,
did it last game. Garland did it
yeah,
for the Knicks last game. So I think
yeah,
Mitchell going to be really, it's a little. I got to show that I'm the guy on the team still type
yeah.
situation.
So I
Yeah.
got
So
Brunson, you got Mitchell, and
yep.
you lean there the Cavs, I lean the Knicks. I don't know if we'll get involved on the side. Like I said, under or pass. That's another one. You got to think, right? People get mad because I don't take sides on these games. What do I do normally, right? I make most of my money during the regular season, and I have
Yeah.
cars between 7 to 13 games. And you'll notice I don't come on, and even if you guys follow me, I'll run here. I don't give out bets on 13 games. So when there's only
No.
3 games, right? I mean, I don't always take a stand on every single game, and I know sometimes people get frustrated, and I'll give you my leans. But unless you're betting recreationally, I wouldn't advise betting on every playoff game. Hey, right? If
No,
you got
that's
a
not
great
smart.
job and you're just at home with the wife or your buddies, and you're having a beer, smoking a little, just trying to have some action, bet on every game. But if you're trying to make money, you have to be judicious and pick your spots. So you're
Yes.
not always going to find spots. And I think this happens to me here on this next game with the Denver Nuggets, where my projections like the Nuggets. I like the Nuggets so much better as a team. I bet them in both game 1 and game 2. Cashed both those tickets. To be fair, I was lucky to cash that game 2 win, but the money spends the same. I went to buy a steak. They didn't tell me, hey, you were lucky to win that bet, right? I mean, they just took the money and I received my goods and services, right? So there is a little bit of luck involved, but this is tough, right? Because we know this game 3 bounce, right? This exists,
Yep.
right? You never count these teams out. We look at last night, the Warriors, right? I mean, drove around all day, right? Between the Kings radio and the Warriors radio, they wanted to proclaim the end of the Warriors dynasty, and it's all over, and the sky is falling. Then the Warriors come out and win by 21 or whatever the final score was. I turned to the
Right.
Suns game. We got all my attention, going into that fourth. So I do like the Nuggets here, but I also feel like I'm walking into a trap. What do you think?
I like Minnesota. I
Yeah,
just think that
see?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Minnesota on this game. I just think that they're a really good home team, and as I was talking about earlier, with everything surrounding Prince passing, I know that's crazy, a crazy angle to have, but people don't understand unless they've been to that Minnesota area, how big Prince is up there to that city and to those people, to those fans, man. And he had a really big affinity for Timberwolves basketball and basketball as a whole. He was a huge basketball fan, and like I said, I think that it's going to be rocking in Minnesota, and I think that the Timberwolves smoke the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets have an off game.
All right. I'm not going to take a stand on this next game. We're talking about Saturday now. The Bucks are -5.5 until the Heat. I don't think you can bet this game until you have the idea of Giannis's line tells me that they expect him to play, as the Bucks are laying 5.5 in Miami after only being 6.5 point favorites at home. Heat look attractive here. But if Giannis plays,
Yeah,
I can see the Bucks getting the win. So now I'm staying away from it now. But that +5.5 is tempting. If you grab it right now and Giannis is ruled out, it's going to move to like Heat -1.
yeah,
Right. I mean, you could get a 6-point middle there. You could even change your mind and just, go for the middle. We got to wait for the news on that one. How are you approaching it? Like, so say you get the news that Giannis is ruled in, because that's what the line is telling me that he's going to play. How would you approach this game?
I personally would take the Heat now, because if Giannis ends up playing, as you said, you'll be able to catch back up. If he doesn't, you're already on the right side anyway. So on this game, for me, it'll definitely be Heat or pass.
All right. The Los Angeles Lakers, I hate to say it, but this team is looking pretty good. Memphis showed fight in game 2. And of course, it's another one. We're waiting for the news. But to me, this news doesn't matter as much. I still think that Memphis is live, whether or not they have Ja Morant. But obviously he helps a lot. This whole idea that they're better without him, like, you guys got to be kidding me.
No, you crazy.
It's this one game and these short bounces that I talk about where everybody gets excited to be the man again, and they've all gotten buckets, right? Like all these players, even these guys on the bench, right? I can point someone out to you and you'll say, oh, I remember when he dropped 20 in college, right? 20 a night, right? I remember when he was leading his team in the conference championships. These guys all know how to score. You can absorb that short term. Long term is the issue. So we're waiting for the news. And this one I think can go 50-50. I mean, I really think it can go either way. It looked pretty bad. I'll tell you what, if it wasn't the playoffs, I would say they would have already ruled them out for 2 weeks. So that's why I think this one's tough. How are you approaching this? What do you expect? Is there a reason to bet it now? Do we wait for the news? How do we approach this game?
I don't think the Lakers let this opportunity pass by. I think that the Lakers are going to take care of their business at home. Game 2, they seemed like they were taking a rest. They didn't seem like they really gave too much effort throughout their game. Like they were pacing themselves. They feel like they've already gotten the split. They're dealing with a veteran coach who was an ex-player himself, so he knows the mentality and approach of players. And sometimes players in the NBA, it's a lot of games, a lot of wear and tear on the body. Some games you kind of just ease off the break and take off. And I think that's what they did in game 2. So I expect them to be really excited about game 3 and understand the importance of it. I don't see Tyus Jones being able to beat the Lakers in LA.
All right. The Warriors are now -7.5. Draymond Green expected to be back in the lineup. Let's see how much that helps or hurts the team, right? We see our guy, Coach Goodman, right? He made a great point last night. He said, hey, this offense looks a little better when you're not playing 4-on-5, right?
Right.
I know Draymond's a great passer, but the fact that they're able to lag off him with having guys like Moody, Kuminga in there, guys that felt like they were giving them more respect, that Warriors offense looked really good. Of course, where you lose is the leadership and the defensive tenacity that Draymond Green brings. Warriors at home have been a cash cow for us, but I don't think the Kings get boat raced again, right? I don't think they were ready. And that's why I knew that game 3 bet last night was so easy, even without Dre. Right? We won 2 games at home, which you're supposed to do. Everyone's crowning us, right? Like we ended the theory talking about who we're going to play in round 2 and stuff. Not so fast. Now they've got that punch in the mouth. They got the wake-up call. And the other important thing is they've got some more film for Mike Brown to go ahead and work with and make those adjustments. So right now I'm leaning towards taking the points with the Kings. I don't necessarily love that spot, though. What are your thoughts here? Do you think the Kings can bounce back in Golden State?
I think that the Kings are very dangerous this game. The setup is with Draymond coming back. This is an opportunity, really, for the Kings to take advantage of all the noise, all of the motivation. I believe that the Kings play better this game. I believe the others for the Kings step up. I think Monk bounces back and has a better game. Do I expect them to win the game? I don't know. The Warriors, that you said,
it happens a lot. Team. We saw it last night. We saw it last night with the Clippers. At any point, so I had money on the game. I'm watching the last 2 minutes. At no point am I thinking the Clippers have a chance to win this game, right? The series is already 2-1. The Suns have won, but we're watching to see is the team going to cover. So I could definitely see that happening where the Kings win or the Warriors win, but the Kings bet is the winning bet here, as this game is a lot closer. So I've got all 3 totals right so far in that Kings game. I got over game 1, under game 2, under game 3. Last night is 240.5. Now it's 238. That Warriors defense is so much better at home, though. Do you go under again?
You got to go under really on every game in the NBA. It's just like pro football. It's rare occasions that you're going to go over, but most of the time, in the playoffs, it's unders, man. You know that we're going to take the under. We're going to be the hater. Miss
know.
it.
Yeah, you are at that happen. And I'm slow down.
Right, right. The whole game. That's all that you hear, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, ball and parlay time. Let's give the people the winners for the weekend. What do you got for us?
Hey, man, we're gonna go to the football field. You know, football is my sport. I say, man, let me leave this hardcore stuff to ski into spread and noops. Let me get back on the grass, man. Where I like to be outdoors, man. We're gonna go get you guys some winners in the USFL and the XFL. Let's start with the USFL. Go with the home guys, man. We're going to Houston Gamblers for the first half plus 3.5 against the New Orleans Breakers. The football team for Houston is a really put together team. I like everything about that team. Really runs the ball well. Really smart coaching. Really smart quarterback play that they got. And they have also a quarterback who has the ability to run and pass. Well, on the other side, you're dealing with a Breakers team who has a guy who's 35 years old from the Canadian Football League and McLeod Belter Thompson. And I watched him play a lot in Canada, and he's just not that good, even though he looked up and won a Grey Cup one year. He doesn't move the ball really well. So I think that early Houston is able to stay in this game. So I like how they come out and how they come out prepared. So we're going with the Houston Gamblers plus 3.5 for the first half for our first bet for the weekend in football. Then we're going to go to my guys, the Philadelphia Stars. The Stars have one of my favorite players in the entire USFL with their quarterback Cookies. Man, this guy, he just plays really hard. He throws the ball on point, moves around in the pocket, takes big hits, and he still gets right back up, and he's a gunslinger, man. And I love watching him play, and I love watching that Stars offense. Michigan is better this season. They got a new coach. They got Coach Nolan, Mike Nolan, who was formerly with the 49ers, a better quarterback as well, with Josh Love now taking over the reins as the quarterback. But with that all said, we're going with the Philadelphia Stars money line and that explosive offense at minus 150. We'll play the 50 cents juice. It's worth it against the Michigan Panthers. And then lastly, we're going to go with the DC Defenders. They've been the best team all season long, XFL. They've already locked in their position as the 1 seed throughout the playoffs in the XFL. So they'll probably be playing some backup players, but even their backup quarterbacks are really good. Derek King, he plays every game in the second half. They pretty much do a quarterback system where their starter, Jordan Ta'amu, plays the first half or most of the first half, and then like the last drive of the half, they bring Derek King and let him work throughout the rest of the game. I think Derek King puts up points. San Antonio Brahms are a horrible team offensively. They play with a lot of heart because Hines Ward is a good coach. But offensively, he just doesn't have that team rolling yet. So I think that DC gets on them early. So we're going to go with the DC Defenders first half minus 1.5. So there's 3 football plays that I got for you guys for the Ball and Parlay. That's going to be the Houston Gamblers plus 3.5 first half against the New Orleans Breakers in the USFL. Philadelphia Stars money line minus 150 against the Michigan Panthers in the USFL. And then in the XFL, we're going to go with the DC Defenders first half minus 1.5 versus the San Antonio Brahms. We appreciate you for tuning in to the Wagering World. As always, best of luck to you all. We'll talk to you again on Monday.